Welcome to all of you in this video. In this video, we will talk about some important functions of liver and pancreas. As we know that we have completed the whole digestive system in the previous 4 videos, I thought personally that the functions of the liver and pancreas are very important, too important to be missed. So let's see what are the important functions of the liver and pancreas. So let's start with liver. So the first important function of the liver is the secretion of bile juice. Now, what is bile juice, what are the contents and what are the functions we have already discussed in the previous videos. So I will not go deep into that. Now let's move to the next function, that is the metabolism of glucose. So metabolism of glucose takes place inside the liver. Now when I say metabolism of glucose, it includes 3 processes. The first one is called glycogenesis, second one is called glycogenolysis, and the third one is called gluconeogenesis. Now let's talk about glycogenesis. What is glycogenesis? Now see, whenever there is excess amount of glucose in our body, it is converted into glycogen, and glycogen is ultimately stored in the cells of the liver or the hepatic cells. So this whole function is called glycogenesis, that means formation of glycogen from glucose. Now the next term which we came across was glycogenolysis. Now what is glycogenolysis? Now glycogenolysis is just opposite of glycogenesis. In glycogenolysis, what happens? Whenever there is a demand of glucose in the body, whenever we feel weak or we have insufficient amount of glucose in the body, then the stored glycogen is again reconverted into glucose and our body is supplied with the energy. So this whole process is called glycogenolysis. Now the third term, which is the gluconeogenesis. Now when I say gluconeogenesis, as the term suggests, that means the neo term suggests new. So when I say gluconeogenesis, it means formation of new glucose from the stored fatty acids and amino acids. So whenever the fatty acids and amino acids are reconverted into glucose or converted into glucose, this whole process is called gluconeogenesis. So all these 3 processes are combinedly called metabolism of glucose, which takes place inside the liver. Now let's come to the third process, which is synthesis and storage of fats. Now when I say synthesis and storage of fats, it includes 2 important processes. The first one is lipogenesis. Now what is lipogenesis? When I say lipogenesis, I mean that excess amount of glucose is converted into fats. This whole process is called lipogenesis. Now the next one which is included in this category is beta oxidation. When I say beta oxidation again includes 2 processes. One is called denaturation of fatty acids, another is called phosphorylation of fats. Now if you want to know about these 2 concepts, these are pretty much complex concepts, so you can ask to your chemistry teacher about this. Now let's talk about the 4th process, which is called deamination of protein. Now the excess amount of amino acid undergoes the process of deamination. Now by deamination, the excess amount of amino acid is converted into urea, which is ultimately expelled out of our body through our kidneys. Now the next is the synthesis of albumin for COP. Now synthesis of albumin is another important function which is performed by the liver. Now what happens? Whenever we have excess amount of amino acid, it is converted into a protein which is called albumin. Now why albumin is required in the body? It is required to maintain the ICOP, intravascular colloid osmotic pressure. Now this is a phenomenon because of which the blood does not seeps or leaks into the tissues, it flows smoothly inside the blood vessels. So blood does not leak outside, that is because of COP or ICOP, that means intravascular colloid osmotic pressure. Now so this is another important function which is controlled by the liver, that means the formation of albumin, and albumin ensures proper maintenance of ICOP. Now let's talk about the next function, which is production of blood proteins. Now we know that there are two important proteins present in the blood. One is called fibrinogen, another is called prothrombin. So prothrombin and fibrinogen both play a very important role in coagulation of blood. Without these two proteins, blood cannot be clotted. So clotting of blood is another important function which owes its importance to the liver, because liver produces these two proteins, fibrinogen and prothrombin. Blood clotting takes place. Now the next important function of the liver is production of heparin. Now heparin is an enzyme which prevents clotting or coagulation of blood in the blood vessels. So in our blood vessels, the blood flows smoothly without any obstacle. That is because of this enzyme heparin, which is produced by the liver. So this is another important function of the liver. The next important function is production of RBC. Now we commonly know that RBCs are produced by bone marrow, but when human beings are at fetal stage, at that time it is the liver which produces the RBCs. So liver produces RBCs during the fetal stage of the life. Now another important function of the liver is production of heat. As we already have discussed that metabolism of glucose takes place inside the liver, and because of this metabolism of glucose, heat is produced. That is why the temperature of blood which is leaving the liver is always higher than the temperature of the blood which is entering into it. It also helps us maintaining in our required body temperature, which is 37 degrees Celsius. Now the next important function of the liver is absorption of vitamin A, B12 and D. As this sign suggests, there is no explanation needed. These are the three essential vitamins, vitamin A, B12 and D, which are absorbed in the body with the help of the liver. The next important function is absorption of inorganic substances, that means copper and iron. We all are aware that what is the importance of iron, what is the importance of copper, and both of them are absorbed in the body with the help of the liver. So these are the important functions of the liver. And after liver, let's talk about important functions of pancreas. So see, pancreas is a kind of organ which is an endocrine organ, and as well as it is an exocrine organ. So the exocrine part of pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, which helps in digestion, and the endocrine part has some patches of cells which are called islets of Langerhans. Now these islets of Langerhans are mostly constituted by two types of cells, alpha cells and beta cells. Nowadays a third type of cell has been discovered, which is called delta cells. Now see what are the functions of these cells. When we talk about alpha cells secrete a hormone which is called glucagon. Now glucagon helps performing glycogenolysis. It converts glycogen into glucose in the hours of need. Now when we talk about beta cells secrete a very important hormone which is called insulin. Insulin is a hormone which converts glucose into glycogen. So whenever there is excess amount of glucose, it is converted into glycogen by insulin. And if there is insufficient amount of insulin, the person suffers from a problem which is called diabetes. Now the next, delta cells. The functions and operations performed by delta cells are still being researched on. So there is no sufficient information about this. If you are curious, you can search about it on the Google, on YouTube. So in this video, this is it. Thank you.